Hey friends, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Angie and I enjoy sharing different projects that we have going on around our home. And today I'm going to be sharing with you 3 different crafts for Valentine's Day. I cannot believe that Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and I enjoy just adding subtle touches of Valentine's Day around our home. And I've created some things with clay. All 3 of these crafts are made from clay. And if you've never used clay before, it is a really fun product and you can get really creative and make all kinds of stuff. So without further ado, let's get on with the video and create some Valentine's Day crafts. For this craft, you're going to need Das modeling clay. You're going to need a toolkit. You're going to need cookie cutters, a small grapevine wreath, or you could use an embroidery hoop, some ribbon, glue gun, glue sticks, a surface to work on, and optional is paint. I used Fusion mineral paint in the color Raw Silk, a paintbrush, and I also used Rub and Buff in the color Gold Leaf. So I'll link all this below for you, and just to make it a little bit more convenient. So let's get started with the craft. For today's DIY, we're going to be using Das modeling clay, and this is air dry clay, and it is such a fun product to work with. So what you want to do is take a little bit out and put it on a flat surface. And you want to make sure that you put this on something because it does leave a little bit of residue behind. Not bad, you can wipe it up, but I don't think you want this on your table. I just used a cutting board that I had. And I also picked up this inexpensive toolkit from Michael's. I'll link both the clay and the kit in the link below. But I did end up making all 3 of these crafts, and I had just a little bit of clay left, so 1 pack is plenty for all 3 of these DIYs. So you want to start out by just forming the clay in your hand and just pressing it down to get it flat. You want it about 1/4 of an inch thick so that you've got enough to work with after you cut out your shapes. So just do that until all of your clay is flat, and then take the rolling pin, is what I call it, and just make sure that everything is rolled out flat. So let me know in the comments if you decorate for Valentine's Day, and if you do you decorate with the traditional red and pink, or do you stay more neutral? With this clay, you can make it any color you want. I'm more of a neutral girl, and so you'll see that these stay pretty neutral. I do go with color on one of the crafts just to show you that it's possible, but sky's the limit with this. You can go with any color you want with this. I add just a little bit of subtle Valentine's Day decor to our home. I generally stick with our colors, but I do add some fun things to our daughter's room. She loves Valentine's Day, but I tend to stick with the colors in her room. So let me know in the comments what you do and if you decorate your home for Valentine's Day. So I picked up this kit from Walmart, and it's got all different shapes of hearts, and we're going to be using some different sizes for each craft. And I'm just going to use the smallest heart shape in this package for this craft. So then you want to take the clay that you have flattened out and use your heart shape and just press the shape down into the clay. You can make as many as you want depending on the size of your wreath. Now my wreath, I ended up using 20 of these, but you can make it as small or as big as you want, and just cut all of your hearts out, and then you want to pull the clay away from your shapes. So when you pull the clay away, you'll just have your shapes there to work with next. After you've cut out all of your shapes that you want to place them on a flat surface to dry. Now your hearts may be a little bit rough around the edges. Just take your finger and smooth it out. And if you want it even more perfect, you can take a little water and just smooth around the edges. After these dry, you can also sand them with a fingernail file, so you don't have to worry about that. So just lay them out on a flat surface to dry anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. I let mine dry for 48 hours. I wanted them nice and dry before I worked with them. And so just keep that in mind when you're working on this project to give yourself enough time. After your clay is good and dry, it's time to move on to the next step. Now this step is completely optional, but I'm using Fusion Mineral Paint in the color Raw Silk to give these a nice off-white color. They're kind of a stark white with the clay, and I want them to look a little bit more antique. So I'm giving them one coat of this paint. You can skip this step and just have them the color of the clay. Either way looks great in my opinion. So you can't go wrong with this craft. Just personal preference and do what you like for your home. After that paint is dry, you want to move on to the next step, and again, this step is optional. I just like to add it because I like mine to have a little bit of a gold sheen. So I used my rub and buff and I put just a little bit on some tin foil. A little bit of this product goes a long way. And then I just put a little bit on my paintbrush and dab the excess off. And then you just want to paint it on your hearts, and it just picks up the different texture of the clay. And so the high points of the clay just have this gold shine, and it makes it look rustic, antique. It just has a beautiful look to it. And I'll just do this over every one of the hearts just to give it a little dimension and help it stand out from the wreath when I put it on there. And then you want to take a lint-free cloth and do the buff, and this makes it shine a little bit, and it spreads the product around on the heart, and it just rubs it into those nooks and crannies and gives it a really neat look. I also rub some on the outside of the heart because you'll be able to see the outside when you look at the wreath. Next, you need to decide if you're going to be hanging your wreath or if you're just going to prop it up on something. I plan to hang mine, so I'm just adding this simple red and white striped ribbon for Valentine's Day. And right now, I'm just tying a simple knot, but when I hang it, I'll tie a bow. And then after that, you're ready to put your hearts on the wreath or embroidery hoop or whatever you're using. And all you do is you just add some hot glue on the back of it and then secure it in place. And you just hold it there for a minute, let the hot glue dry, and then you just glue them around the wreath. You can glue them in any pattern that you want to. I get a little more creative when you see the finished product, but you can do anything you want. Add any kind of embellishments on your wreath. Just make it your own. It is such a fun wreath, and it's a very simple DIY. I would like to take this time and tell you thank you so much for spending a portion of your day here with us on our channel. It means so much to us. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and become a part of our YouTube family. Also, if you like the content that you're seeing, give us a thumbs up. It helps out our channel so much. And you can also ding the bell to be notified when a new video goes live. I hope that you are all having a wonderful week and that you are staying warm. We have had so many many cold days lately, and I know that our part of the world is probably a little bit warmer than most places, but for us it has been super cold and we're not really used to it. But we're making the best of it. We're staying inside and doing a lot of crafting, organizing, cleaning, but I'm ready for warmer days so that I can get outside and work on some projects and just do some things that I need to take care of. For this craft, you're going to need DAS modeling clay, a clay kit, some cookie cutters, a glue gun and glue sticks. You're also going to need a surface to work on and either a canvas or a piece of cardboard. And then optional is paint. I'm using the color Damask Infusion Mineral Paint, and I'm also using the color Raw Silk Infusion Mineral Paint, but you can use any paint that you have on hand for this. For this craft, you do the same exact thing that we did for the sweetheart wreath. You just take a little bit of your clay and you just spread it out onto your surface and make sure it is flattened out. You want it to be about 1/4 of an inch thick, and we actually cut out these hearts at the same time that we did our hearts for our sweetheart wreath. And it just saved a little bit of time and helped the crafting go a little bit smoother. You take the same cookie cutter and you cut out the hearts. We cut out about 30 for this craft, and then after we had them all cut out, we smooth the sides with our finger, and then we just put them on a flat surface to dry. 24 to 48 hours, but I let ours dry for 48 hours. For this part, I'm using Fusion Mineral Paint in the color Damask. This is a perfect mauve pink, and I'm thinking about using it in Caroline's room for some furniture, but I want to do it here on this craft because this is going in her room, and I wanted to have that little splash of pink. So this step is completely optional. You don't have to paint these hearts, but since I wanted that little bit of pink, I'm going to paint them. And I'm going to make sure to paint the outside also because you're going to be able to see that. So just give it one coat of paint and then let it dry. Takes about an hour for it to dry, and then set it aside for the next step. I'm using a canvas that I thrifted a few weeks ago, but you could use anything for this. You could paint a piece of cardboard, you could use an old picture, anything that you can glue these hearts on. But the first step I'm going to do is paint this canvas, this beautiful raw silk, which is an off-white color, and it pairs so well with the damask. So I'm just going to give it one coat all over and then set that aside to dry. After everything's dry, it's time to glue everything down. And all you do on this part is put a generous amount of hot glue on the back of the heart and then glue it down on the canvas. It is so easy, and it turns out beautiful. You could do so many things with this. You could paint the hearts a different color. You could put one gold heart in the middle and the rest a different color. You could do different shapes and glue them down. You could even frame this canvas in a thrifted frame. It would be absolutely beautiful, and you could do one for every season and then just change it out with the seasons. This is such a fun craft, and it's so easy, and the longest thing is waiting for the clay to dry. So this is a fun craft, and it turns out beautiful. For this project, you need your DAS modeling clay, a clay kit, some cookie cutters, and a surface to work on. You're also going to need some type of string. This is what I had on hand, so this is what I used, but you can also use ribbon or jute. My daughter helped me with this last one, and she had so much fun, and we did the same exact thing. We rolled out the clay about 1/4 of an inch thick, and then we used one of the bigger cookie cutters to make the shapes. We cut out about 6, but the fun thing about this is you can make it as short or as long as you want it, and we just pulled the extra clay away, and then we just smoothed the sides with our finger, but you could also sand these after they dry, and then make sure that you lay them on a flat surface to dry so that they can dry evenly. But before you let them dry completely, you need to take a toothpick and poke 2 holes into your shape, and this allows for you to string it through ribbon or any kind of string that you're using. So make sure that the holes are big enough to accommodate whatever you're using to string your garland. I'm using a thin thread, and so I want to make sure that the holes are big enough for that. So just push your toothpick through there, and then after you do that, you just want to set it aside and let it dry for about 48 hours. I'm using this thin string that we had on hand, but you could use whatever you like to string your garland. But you just run it through one hole and then come up the back and bring it through the other hole, and you continue doing that until all the hearts are attached. And then you can hang it wherever you would like, and I promise you when you pass it, it will make you smile. It is such a sweet little garland. Well, friends, that about wraps up this week's video. I hope that you were inspired to create some Valentine's decor for your home. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.